Hey there, I'm Aki, and Below Zero spoilers. With her appearance in Below Zero, lots of people have wondered how Marguerit Maida survived and managed to get to Sector Zero, especially since Maida's storyline is optional. So today, I'll make a quick video trying to explain how that's possible. Maida came to planet 4546b with the Degasi, around a decade before the Aurora crashed. Her, Paul and Bart Toggle drifted to the floating island in a life pod and built a base there. That's what you can discover when you go to the floating island yourself in the game. Eventually, they were stupid enough to go deeper. They constructed a base in the Jellyshroom Cave and then in the Grand Reef. A few months later, a Reaper Leviathan attacked our base and Paul and Maida got ejected. The first game leads us to believe that Paul follows a light deeper into the Grand Reef, which is incredibly stupid by the way, and gets killed by what I think is probably a crab squid. And that Maida gets dragged off fighting the Leviathan and gets killed by it. Bart lives on the floating island for a few more weeks and then dies of the Kharaa. But then in Below Zero, we find Maida very much alive in Sector Zero, kilometers away from the original crater.
I'm not with Altera.
Then your position is doubly precarious.
So how is she alive? If we talk to her in-game, she tells us this.
I killed that beautiful, terrifying creature, and I made for the surface. When I caught my breath, I realized we'd come further than I'd thought. I was surrounded by watery void, just me and ocean. I felt a suction, and suddenly, there were vast jaws rising out of the water towards me. It had taken hours for the Reaper's corpse to float to the surface. Using the knife, I clambered up her flank and got a perch on top. I figured she'd float for a few days at least, and I didn't have much, but I had that repair tool, so I had a spark. I had to ration fires, but as they burned, I could smoke meat that I carved out of the beast's rib cage. Hours later, I saw a blessed sight. An unmoving cloud sitting upon the water. Land.
Essentially, she killed the Reaper, used its corpse as a raft and food, and floated all the way to Sector Zero. Okay, but there's something else. Why didn't she die of the Kharaa? We know everything on the planet gets infected with it if you touch the water, and Bart died of it. There's no official explanation for how she did it, at least not one I could find. So here are a few explanations I came up with. Just before the Leviathan attack, Maida encountered one of the precursor vents and found a hero peeper carrying enzyme 42. She touched the enzyme and got cured from the Kharaa. One problem with this theory is that if Maida was able to be cured by a hero peeper, why doesn't Riley get cured in Subnautica? I think that because this was around a decade before the Aurora crashed, the Sea Emperor's enzyme is still way more potent and still able to fully cure the Kharaa, instead of only delaying it like in the game. Another option is that because Leviathans are somewhat immune to the bacterium, and Maida ate the flesh of a Reaper, she somehow also became immune to the Kharaa. The problem with that theory is that if it works, why did the architect simply use that to try and cure the Kharaa instead of failing again and again with the Sea Emperor eggs? I honestly have no idea, so I think the first theory is more likely. But what do you think? How did she manage to get cured? Let me know in the comments down below. If you'd like to support me and get a fancy t-shirt in the process, I have a bunch of new merch which you can check out right here. Special thanks to my supporters on YouTube and Patreon, Callum Wally, Capital Clyde, Jeff the Sea Dragon, Ripe Cucumber, Tony House and Wynock. But for now, thank you very much for watching, I really hope you enjoyed it, and as always, I'll see you next time. Goodbye!